you ever had one of those moments as a mom or a dad where you're like, I'm doing something right? Yes, hooray, big high five. Well, I want to tell you about one of those moments that I had with one of my boys. This was a couple years ago, and I was turning the corner, coming into the kitchen, and there I saw my oldest son, Ryan, who at the time would have been probably 10 or 11, was teaching toddler Austin, probably 2 or 3 about that time, how to scramble eggs. And Austin was perched on this stool, watching intently and learning as Ryan was talking him through how scrambled eggs work. And I just, in that moment, my heart melted and I thought, okay, I'm doing one thing right. Maybe just one thing. Other times, don't feel like I'm doing all the things right. But in that moment, it was such a joy to see them working together in the kitchen and watching him help his little brother see how scrambled eggs work. In this episode of the Erin Chase Show, we are going to talk all about teaching kids how to cook, why we want to do it, how to do it, and I'm going to share some important resources that will help you in teaching your kids how to cook, mainly that I'll do it for you. Sounds amazing, huh? We will get into that here in a bit, but first I want to go over why we should teach our kids to cook. Even as life is busy and crazy, I think it's super important that they learn valuable skills and character in the kitchen, as well as different cooking methods and strategies as well. So the first reason that we want to teach our kids how to cook is because it works us out of the job. I know, cooking for our kids day after day, meal after meal, it sure does get exhausting. It sure can be frustrating. Sure, we want to throw in the towel. We find ourselves going through the takeout more than we want to, or the drive-through too often. When we teach them how to cook, we start to work ourselves out of the job, which is quite fantastic. Even if you love cooking, it's still nice to get a break from it every now and again and have your kids do the work for you. You can just show up at the table and enjoy your meal. We love that. I love that when that happens around here. It also, reasons to teach your kids how to cook is instilling a love of cooking. We want them to love cooking, and I've heard over and over the years of food blogging that one of the reasons people don't like to cook is because they don't know how to cook. So if you can teach them how to cook when they're young, that'll instill a lifelong love of cooking and, of course, then feeding themselves well through the years. It also teaches important, valuable life skills, executive functioning skills, how to put things in order, how to make a grocery list, how to make a plan, how to get the ingredients out and put them all together and following a recipe. Those are very valuable life skills. And there's math and multiplication and other sorts of skills that will come about as you are working through different recipes and making different meals. So those are some real important reasons to teach kids how to cook. And next I want to look at the different kind of ages and stages of working with your kids in the kitchen and share some examples of tasks that kids can do based on their age and where they are in the developmental journey, if you will. You also want to consider here their interest level. I have one kiddo that's super into grilling, and then another one that's really into cooking, and he's starting to explore a little baking as well. So you want to kind of go with their interest level as well. As they start to get more confident in the kitchen and learn different skills, they'll start to kind of hone in on one of these areas, and you want to make sure that you are playing to their interest level as well. So let's dive in next to the different ages and some things that you can have your kids doing, starting with toddlers. So with your younger kiddos, let's say 3 to 5 years old, you could have them stirring ingredients, mashing potatoes, washing veggies, cutting soft things like cookie dough or biscuits where they're using like a cutter and not necessarily a knife. We'll get into knives here in a little bit, but soft things that they can cut with a plastic knife or cutters would work really well. For kiddos who are, let's say, 6 to 8 years old, they can learn measuring and peeling carrots, whisking up batters, also setting the table. We don't want to forget about chores in and around the kitchen and when teaching our kids how to cook. And then cutting with plastic knives or protective gloves. It's up to you what you want to do with teaching your kids knife safety and knife skills. There are some gloves that you can get that a knife will not cut through to protect their little fingers. There's also plastic knives that you can use that will also not cut, but plastic knives just work better on softer foods. So you can explore those different options to keep your kids safe in the kitchen. For kiddos who are a little bit older, 9 to 11, late elementary school, you want to be teaching them how to use the oven, how to turn it off and on, how to use the stovetop. You can also start working through organizing meals and grocery lists and ingredients, getting everything out on the counter for meal prep. We also start working with opening cans and can safety with the lids that are really sharp, teaching kids how to do that, as well as cutting with real knives. We start that around age 10, 11 here, depending on the kids and their kind of where they're at in their life development journey. But I think that's a good time to start working with real knives. They're mature enough to understand the dangers, and they have the dexterity and the fine motor skills to work with a real knife. Other things kids this age can do: sautéing different meals, cooking pasta, starting down the process to learning more, and maybe introduction to baking as well if they're interested in that. Once we get into kind of the middle school years and the early teen years, then it kind of opens up to all kinds of different things we can learn in the kitchen. It's really important that we go over safety in the kitchen, both food safety and kind of cookware safety. Also learning about the different types of cookware and how they're used. You can get into following multi-step recipes and a little bit more advanced cooking strategies and methods, and then just based on their interest, what are they wanting to learn about, as they gain in confidence and get more creative with their cooking, starting to look at the science, if you will, of cooking and baking, I think is really interesting for teenagers as well. Next, I want to tell you about my delegation strategy and how I use this with teaching kids how to cook. I think that when life is busy and we've got so much going on, anytime we go to teach our kids anything, whether it's chores or cooking or how to make your bed or whatever, we kind of do it in a rush and we don't necessarily follow up. And I might be speaking just about myself right now, but I don't think so. So I want you to listen to this, and not only does this apply to teaching your kid how to cook a meal, but also how to teach them how to do anything. I know that in the past I get frustrated when my kids don't do something the way I ask them to do it. Well, when I look back, it's my own frustration and my own fault because I really didn't teach them the way I really wanted it to be done. I didn't follow through and make sure they were doing it correctly. Here's a perfect example related to the kitchen, but not cooking. The dishes. Like, I am a master dishwasher loader. Master. It is like Tetris, next level. Let's see how much we can get in there and how many plates we can line up together and all that. Especially, we're recording this in the time of the pandemic, so we have a lot of dishes running through our kitchen right now with eating at home every single meal of the day. And I am a master at loading the dishwasher. Well, I have not done a great job of teaching my kids how to be masters and play the Tetris game of loading the dishwasher. Okay, aside. Back to teaching kids how to cook. All that to say, I am getting better about following through and making sure that they are making the most of the space that is in the dishwasher and cleaning as many dishes as we can, especially with how many that we're going through in a day right now. Okay, so back to how this works with teaching your kids how to cook. I think when you're delegating anything, it's really important to follow kind of 3 or 4 steps or phases. The first is you're going to teach and show them how to do it. The second is you're going to closely watch them as they do the task on their own, and then check either periodically throughout the time or at the end to make sure that the task is completed. And then third, you will let them do it on their own, maybe quickly check it to make sure And then fourth stage would be let them to do it on their own. So what does that look like with cooking a meal? I will use taco soup as an example. One, because it's one of our WIS-KID cooking lessons, and two, because it's a very simple meal to start with, where you learn really important basic things like how to brown ground beef and opening cans safely and cooking and simmering a soup. So the first week that we make this, or the first time that we make taco soup, I will show the kids exactly what to do. I will stand there and brown the ground beef. I'll show them how to break up the meat, and then they will break up the meat. I will show them how to open a can safely. They will open the next can safely. I will show them how to adjust the dial on the stovetop to bring it to boil, and then bring it down to a simmer so that it can simmer for a couple of minutes. So that's the first week. I am with them, standing right there, showing them, demonstrating, taking action with them in the kitchen. The second time that they make the meal, I will have them working on their own, and I will be close by to make sure that the meat is browned all the way through, to watch closely as they're opening to make sure that they're, being safe with the sharp lids, and then make sure that they adjust the heat to the proper level. I'm just kind of checking in nearby, watching what's going on. The third time that they make it, I might just be like, hey, got any questions? I'm kind of in and around the kitchen, just quick touch points, making sure that everything is on track and they don't do anything backwards. It's kind of hard to do something backwards with taco soup, but with more advanced recipes, it is easy to do the wrong thing first. And then the last time that they make it, I will just show up at the dinner table and enjoy my bowl of soup. So that's kind of a breakdown of, being right there with them, and take that same idea and concept and strategy and apply it to anything. For me, the dishes. This is how we're going to do dishes better. I'm going to show you how to master Tetris style this. Then I'll check it before you start running it. And then the third time, I won't have to even check it. They'll know how to get it nice and fully loaded when they're doing their dishes on their own. Another way that we have had great success with learning how to cook in the kitchen is to cook one meal a day for 5 days, and then later on repeat making that meal so that they can get good practice in making that particular meal. So I'll use grilled cheese and Tyler as an example. Tyler made grilled cheese with us in our WIS-KID cooking video, and he has made grilled cheese a number of times since then, and he has got it down. He has got it perfected, and he's even getting snobby about his cheeses now. And I'm like, well, we only have cheddar this week, buddy, so make your cheddar cheese sandwich. But we did it together the very first time, and then I've been watching, and now he just goes in and makes them on his own and asks his brothers who wants one for their lunch, or if it's a snack even, he'll do that for everybody. So that's another great way to do this. I think doing daily like that, it's really easy to get everything you need from the grocery store to practice cooking throughout that week, and then doing it daily, I think, also helps build a little bit of confidence in your kiddos and independence as well. They're wanting to get in the kitchen and make something the next day. So that's another great option. If you're doing daily lessons, the same applies. You'll need to be closely watching and making sure that they're following things properly, safe in the kitchen, and all of that. Which brings me to our sponsor for this very first episode in season 2, WIS-KID. I will tell you more about that here in a sec. In this episode of the Erin Chase Show, we have been talking about teaching our kids how to cook, and I want to tell you about WIS-KID, the guided video and cooking lessons from me and my boys. This summer, Ryan has been perfecting his own burger recipe. Charlie has become quite the grill master. Tyler loves making grilled cheese for himself and his brothers who might want one for lunch, and Austin is always playing sous chef with me in the kitchen. We have recorded videos of me teaching them how to cook so that your kiddo can follow along and learn how to cook in your kitchen. The new WIS-KID guidebook and curriculum is available now on $5dinners.com. Just tap on the WIS-KID logo at the top to learn more and get your guidebook ordered today. All right, now that you know everything you need to know about WIS-KID, I'd love for you to go and explore on the $5 Dinners website and learn more about that and get a guidebook ordered for your kiddos. I want to talk now about planning, implementing, and evaluating. If you have not listened to episode 2 from the first season, you'll want to go back and do that. This is P.I.E. P.I.E is my formula or recipe for living an intentional life. And we do planning, we implement, and we evaluate. So I want to look at what that means with teaching your kids how to cook. First, it's planning. I will help you do all that planning with WhiskKid, right? If you don't want to use WhiskKid and you want to use your own videos or your own recipes that your family already loves, you'll want to make a plan. Get with your kiddos, make a plan, get your ingredients and your grocery list written up, and then put on your calendar when you are going to work on these lessons with your kiddos. The second, implement. That's easy. Get in the kitchen and have fun. You're going to make a mess. You're going to make some memories, but I want you to have a good time with your cooking lessons with your kids in the kitchen. How do you evaluate cooking lessons? Well, there's actually a lot to think about. We want to know what worked well in the kitchen. What did your kiddos learn? What did you learn? I know I learn a lot about myself and about my kids when we are working in the kitchen, mainly to stay out of the way and stay quiet and let them do the work and let them make a mess. I also have learned a lot about how to better communicate with my kids. My kids are all very different, and it's really important that I'm communicating well with them, especially as I'm teaching them how to cook something and how can I say something differently so that they'll either better understand or follow through in a different way. And it's just fun to learn about each other. But really, I think maybe most importantly was, how was the meal? How did it go? And will you make it again? When are you going to make it again, right? So that's evaluating. So you make your plan, you get in the kitchen and you cook, you decide, what to do differently, what you can improve on, will you make this again? And then setting up a time, and then go back to planning, setting up a time for your kiddo to get back in the kitchen and to make that meal again. A second time, get going on that sort of delegation process, or to try a different meal with your cooking lessons. When it comes to using WhiskKid, all I need you to do is set your kids up for success. Make sure they have the groceries, you've got a little bit of supervision going on, but I will take care of all of the teaching in the guided video lessons and using the guidebook as well. We wrap every episode of the Erin Chase Show with thinking, feeling, and taking action. And I want you to think two things. One, that messes can be fun. Okay, that's preaching to myself here. And I also want you to think about how you can set your kids up for success in the kitchen to gain that confidence and independence that they're looking for and that you don't know that you need them to have. So I want you to be thinking about that so that you all can feel the independence that comes with this. It's not just the kids who are gaining confidence and independence, you are as well, because it's 1 or 2 less meals a week that now you have to cook, right? So when it comes to that, we think, we feel, we want to take action. So I want you to, I hope this is helping you feel equipped and empowered and inspired to get your kids working in the kitchen, hopefully using WhiskKid. Of course, you can use any kids cooking curriculum that you like, but I think the one that we have set up and created for you is just perfect. So that's it for this first episode of season 2 and helping our kids learn how to cook. If you want to become an intention seeker, not an attention seeker, an intention seeker, I would love to help you with that. We have worksheets that go along with each one of the episodes here on the Erin Chase Show. You can download those at erinchase.io/podcast. I would love for you to subscribe to the Erin Chase Show. Also leave us a comment or reply to any of our emails and let us know what we can do better to serve you and help you on your intentional living journey. All right, my intention seeking friend, it's bye for now, and we'll talk again soon.